back with another video. I know it's been a while, a couple of months for sure since I've done, a video. You could say that I misplaced my password to my channel, and I can't make the excuse of like I haven't been on YouTube, because trust me, as a Nigerian, I have been watching those Nollywood films on YouTube. I'm sorry. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's bad acting or some of the effects are a little bit, it doesn't matter. I love the drama. I love the drama. It reminds me of home. I love it. And I'm like, sometimes I feel like you just need to watch, it's kind of like watching a bad chick flick. That's what it's like. That's like, I feel like that's the equivalent, because I have Netflix. Like I can always watch Nollywood on Netflix, and it's like really good acting. It's like Stella Hackton is, top tier. But so I can't, anyway, I have to say I can't really use the excuse of not being on YouTube, because I have been tuning in like every 2 months. I get tired of watching my Law and Order and Criminal Minds, and I'm like, let me go back to my Nollywood YouTube movies. So I've been on YouTube. I haven't made a video. I just haven't contributed to the community. So here's my contribution before, especially since the year is about to end. I'm so glad 2025 is about to be over, because it was a year. It was a year. I would never want to relive this year again. I definitely did make some good friends, so that's good. And there were some good, some good moments. I took some trips, but it was a year. It was a year, and that's all I can say. It was a year. It was definitely a year. Good or bad, it was a year. But anyway, I'm in my robe. It's pretty sunny outside, although it's like, I think it's like 60 something degrees, which, why is it 60 something degrees in the middle of December? Yeah, okay. But anyway, so I decided like the best way to come back is to, to make a video on my hot takes. After the year that we've all lived, I think it would be fun. It would be a fun video to talk about some hot takes that I have. That honestly, although these are my personal opinions, I do feel like this should be put into law, because a lot of these hot takes, I'm just like, it's basic common sense. But after the year that we've all been through, it's safe to say that common sense is no longer as common as we would all like it to be. No shade, but it's just the truth. It's just facts. So, so I got my iPad here, which, props to my father. Yeah, he put, props to him. But yeah, so got my notes, and we're gonna talk about some of the hot takes that I have. I have a lot of hot takes. But these are just a few that, again, although these are my personal opinions, I feel as though these should be induction into law. These should be put into law. This should be a legislature like of just hot takes that I have, because I just feel like this is common sense, but it's not common anymore. Clearly, that's why we're talking about it, and that's why it's called hot takes. And some of these are controversial, but I have evidence, and I have research to back it up. So controversial or not, there's stuff to back it up. Okay, I'm not just pulling these out of my hat. This is real facts, right? So first hot take that I have, and this is, first hot take that I have is, don't have kids if you cannot afford them. Don't have kids if you can't afford them. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's eugenics, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Just shh. It's not eugenics. I'm not saying we should go around sterilizing people. That's not right. You shouldn't, sterilize people, because like, it's everyone's choice. However, you shouldn't be out here having kids if you're about to be evicted by next month. You can barely afford to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you want to have a child? You want to bring another individual into that lifestyle, that condition? Who's going to pay for the doctor bills? Who's going to pay for the bottles? Who's going to pay for the diapers? It's not me. It's not anybody around. It's you. It's you. It's your responsibility. So if you can't afford to even take care of yourself, if you can't afford to take care of yourself, take care of your basic necessities, your basic needs, why are you even fathoming the idea of having another individual brought into this world that you would have sole responsibility over? Why? You can't afford that. And before anyone comes at me like, you can't speak, you don't, first of all, I actually grew up poor. I'm not just poor, I grew up poor in Nigeria. So times were tough, right? Very tough, okay? So I know what it feels like to be a child who is, I know what it feels like to be a child in a household where there's not a lot of money. There's not a lot of money, and it sucks, and it feels horrible. And yeah, it just feels horrible. It sucks. I feel as though, yeah, you shouldn't have a child if you can't afford them. It's simple. Like, as someone who, you shouldn't have a child if you can't afford them. And this does not mean you shouldn't have a child at all. It just means in the moment, if you can't afford them, maybe you should think about having a child in maybe 2 years, not right now. Okay? And if you're like, oh, my clock is ticking, babes, your clock has been ticking since years ago. Okay? It's not our fault that you are just now realizing that your clock is ticking. And like, your life isn't even together, but you want to have a child. How does that work? And so, don't have a kid if you can't afford them right now. And my second hot take is don't have a kid if you are not mentally well. Yeah. And so these two kind of go hand in hand, but I feel like don't have a child if you're not mentally well, like as of the moment. Kind of also goes for people who can financially afford a child, because guess what? You can put a roof over your child's head, clothe them, buy them every single toy out there. But if you're not mentally well, you're going to end up scarring your child. That's really just the facts of the matter. And I say this as someone with a mother who is quite literally unstable. So from personal experience. Okay, and I also say this as somebody who is also, currently medicated and in therapy. I don't want to have a child right now. I can have a child, but I don't want to have a child. First, I'm not even financially there yet, where I want to be to have a child. But also mentally, I'm not there yet. And as someone, and I do want kids. So I'm not saying you shouldn't have a child at all. I'm just saying prepare for them financially, prepare for them mentally, prepare for them all the leads. It's not just, I can afford a child, so now I'm going to have a child. But are you mentally well? Is everyone around you scared to be open with you? Is everyone around you scared for their life every single time they have to break some bad news to you? If that's the case, you shouldn't be having some kids right now. You shouldn't, just point blank period, because your emotional being, I'm not saying it has to be top notch. I'm not saying, you have to be the wealthiest person in your life. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you can't even take care of yourself, if people around you are scared for you, people around you are hyper worried about you, don't have a child. Simply put. And so that's all I would have to say about that. If you want to argue, don't, because I don't have time for that. Because I'm not out here saying sterilize people. I'm not out here, because people like to say eugenics. No, babes. It's simply because we actually care about the child. Simply, and the fact that you want to have a child in these terrible circumstances that you are in right now is a red flag, because you clearly don't care about your child. You clearly don't care about the child that you want to have already. So how are we to expect you to care about them when you actually have the child? And let's not use the excuse of, you know how like whenever a mom has a child, some hormone is, released, and then she suddenly loves the child. And also this goes also for people who like to force married couples into having children, who are like, especially like, in Nigerian households, right? Where it's like, you've been married for like 6 months, you've been married for a year. Where's the child? Where's your money? That's what you should be asking them. Where are the diapers? Where's the child? I'll provide the child. We'll provide the child when you give us diapers. When you're ready to be put as the emergency contact for this child. Because you're out here saying, where's the child? Where's the child? Meanwhile, we're trying to work through this marriage. We're trying to get used to living with each other. But you're talking about where's the child? What child? I mean, we can have a child, but as long as you're ready to take full responsibility of that offspring, don't ask me where the child is. And that's what I'm saying. If you're out there and you're getting pressured into having children, but you don't feel like you're ready to have children yet, or you don't feel like you don't want kids, then what you need to do is when someone says, when I'm having kids, simply say, I'm gonna have kids when you're gonna sign this document here that says if we become, financially unwell, if we start to become financially unstable as a couple, you will take over. And if you're not willing to sign this document, then what are we doing here? Because these same people who are like, have a child, give us a child. Once you have the child, gone. Where are they? Nowhere to be found. Gone. So, yeah. Don't listen to them. Okay, so anyway, that's what I'm gonna say about that. Again, like I said, if you want to argue, I don't really care enough to argue with you, because this is facts. Okay, I'm sorry that I care more about the child that you want to have so badly than you do. Anyway, so moving on. My next hot take is providing for your child is bare minimum. And a lot of people would say this is common sense, but again, as we have learned in the Big 2-5, Common sense is not common anymore. And that's why we're about to go into the big 2-6, and we're probably going to be having the same conversations. Because a lot of you are like, common sense, but common sense is not as common as it used to be. It wasn't about that. It wasn't even as if it was ever really that common, but especially in recent times, I rarely see people who I'm like, wow, you think logically. I rarely see that. And that's why we have a lack of empathy nowadays, because a lot of people just don't think as a whole. Anyway, but yeah, providing for the kids is bare minimum. So that whole argument of, oh, I feed you, I put a roof over your head, I clothe you, yeah, babes, that's bare minimum. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm not gonna applaud you for actually taking care of the child that you opened your legs to have. That's bare minimum. Also, you do realize that you are required to do that by the law. And if you don't do that, you're going to jail. So you're lauding this thing over my head, like, oh, I feed you, I pay your bills, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, babes, you are doing what's legal. It's like bragging to people that, oh, I don't rob banks. Yeah, because robbing a bank is illegal. That it's a crime. Not taking care of your child, not providing for your child is a crime. So you want us to sit here and applaud you for not committing a crime? It's bare minimum, babes. And for those of you who are not going to say, but it's hard, times are hard. That's exactly why my first hot take was, you shouldn't have had the child in the first place. You shouldn't have had the child in the first place. So don't complain. If you want to complain, go and get therapy. Go and complain to your therapist. Don't come back complain to me. Like, oh, I'm providing for my child is hard. Okay. Did we force you to have the child? And when we were forcing you, why didn't you tell them, hey, if I'm going to have this child, you're going to have to provide all the money. You're going to have to take full responsibility of this child. All I'm going to do is push. And once I've pushed, over to you. So providing for that child is bare minimum. Bare minimum. It's literally the legal thing I'm supposed to do. You're mad that... I don't know. I'm so confused. You want us to clap for you because you're not committed a crime. Babes, if you don't provide for your child, CPS will be called immediately. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Anyway, providing for your kids is bare minimum. And so those of you who like to use it as in arguments with your kid, like, but I provided for you, okay? You followed the law. You abided by the law. Congratulations. You want a cookie? Okay. Anyway, so moving on to the next hot take that I have. We're gonna, leave the stuff about the kids and the parenting for now, and we're gonna go on to just, random hot takes that I have. If you're somebody who is currently dating a terrible individual, you yourself are terrible and bad with, in proximity. And I say this because, a lot of people date very horrible human beings. Like, how, back in the day, we used to have all these movies and all these, TV shows of, a really nice girl or a really nice, sweet boy who was dating this villain, this really terrible person who used to bully other people. And, people would be like, but he's so nice, he's so sweet, why is he with her? Or she's so nice, she's so sweet, why is she with him? Because they're also terrible. Because they share the same ideologies. Simply put, they've been dating for 2 years, and this person is still horrible and hasn't changed a bit. Yeah, it's because they share the same ideas. They share the same logic. Yeah, they're not terrible out loud, but they're enabling the behavior in private. That's why they're together. That's why they work together. You don't see one extremely good person with one just terrible person unless it's an arranged marriage. If it's not an arranged marriage and this person willingly got in a relationship with this really bad person and they've stayed in the relationship, yeah, it's because they share the same logic. They have the same ideologies. This person is also terrible. It's not, oh, poor them. They have to be stuck in this marriage. No. They think alike. It's just that one of them presents to be this angel and the other one just is like, yeah, I'm a terrible person. Straight up. But behind closed doors, that angel is also a terrible person. That angel enables the behavior of their partner who is terrible. And that also goes for friends. Another hot take that I have on here. If you have a friend group and there's one person in that friend group who goes unchecked and who goes around bullying people, talking down on people, your friend group is enabling that behavior. Because then when you try and talk back to that person, right, whenever you meet them for the first time, everybody be like, no, that's just how she is. No, that's just how he is. Okay, what does that have to do with me? They're disrespecting me, so I'm correcting the behavior. Since the rest of you decide to enable this bad behavior, I'm gonna correct it. Because then the audacity to go and be telling people, that's just how she is, that's just how he is. What does that have to do with me? That has nothing to do with me. That's not how people are. That's not how people are. There's a reason why not all psychopaths or not all sociopaths are serial killers. Because just because you are one doesn't mean you have to be going around. That's like, just because somebody has a traumatic childhood, just because somebody has gone through the ringer doesn't give them the right to not go around and be terrible about like that's just how she is. No. If you have someone who says that's just how she is, that's just how he is, you are enabling the behavior and you are the same way in proxy. That's just how it is. That's my hot take. And you can try and argue, but that's literally my hot take. If you're someone who is in just like close relationship or close friendship with someone who's absolutely terrible and treats people terrible, you have enabled the behavior. That's what you've done. You've been enabling the behavior, and that's why this person has not changed. Don't check her. What do you mean? Don't check her. Don't speak to her because that's just how she is. What does that have to do with me? Fine, that's just how she is. However, that's not how she's gonna be with me. And the funniest thing about those types of people is once you've checked them, suddenly they know how to behave. That's the funniest thing. Once you've checked them and you've showed them that I'm not like your wife, I'm not like your husband, I'm not like your friends who go around saying, oh, that's just how she is. Once you've checked them, suddenly, all of a sudden, they know how to behave. So it's like, oh, so you've known how to behave. You do that. And the reason why they do it is because they know nobody's going to check them. Is they know everybody's going to enable their behavior. That's just how she is. She had a rough upbringing. Okay. Does that mean she should go around bullying people? It's like the whole thing, people are like, oh, bullies are just hurt people. Okay. I'm glad. Yes, that's true. Bullies are hurt people. However, that's not an excuse. It's a reason, but it's not an excuse. They will get checked. And that's what happens. You meet a bigger bully. At the end of the day, you're going to meet a bigger bully. And when you've met that bigger bully, your attitude, everything's going to, calm down. It's going to calm down. Because what do you mean? Oh, that's just how she is. That's just how he is. Okay. So they just lack empathy and we're just supposed to sit here and take it? I'm confused. Okay. Anywho, so personally, I'm not down for that. I'm not down for that. You will get checked and you will respect me from then on. And watch, they always respect people who check them. Because that's the thing. A lot of people just like to be challenged. I don't know if it's some type of kink that they have, but a lot of people just really like to be challenged. That's really it. It's like they're terrible until you check them and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I actually know how to behave. Oh my gosh, I actually know how to view other people as human beings. Oh my. Anyway, that's my hot take. I even forgot what hot take that was, but that's my hot take. Another hot take that I have is people should be allowed to heal in the way that works for them. By the way I wrote this hot takes was just like, it was just I was just writing it. I was like, oh, that's a good something good to talk about. So these sentences are a little broken. I don't know. Just move on. Don't dwell on it too much. But yeah, people should be allowed to heal in the way that works for them. And the reason I brought this up is a lot of people think that, oh, just because I healed this way, the other person who's gone through a similar situation should heal that way too. And I don't believe that's the case. And an example I'll use is I'm a child of divorce, and as a child of divorce, I'm not really keen to be besties with my mother. I grew up with my father, and my father has never really said anything bad about my mom. He's never said anything bad about my mom. He's always tried to he's always trying to push me to have a better relationship with her. However, I don't really want to, and I don't really try to, because I don't really care to do that. And it's not because there's any animosity or there's any I don't forgive her. No, it's simply because she's a stranger to me, and that's probably what she's gonna be for a long time. Maybe it's gonna change in the future. I'm not gonna close doors, but that's just how it is. However, there are kids out there who are children of divorce, where one parent was MIA, and as they get older, they go in search for that parent. They want to get closer to that parent. They want to understand why that parent left, all those things. I'm not that way. Now, am I going to sit here and be mad at those kids and be like, oh, how dare you go look for them? They clearly didn't want you. They clearly didn't want a relationship with you. No, because healing is not the same. Okay, healing is never going to be the same for two people. Even if it feels as though you've gone through a similar situation or you went through the exact same thing, healing is not the same for two people. Healing doesn't have to be the same. And I feel like we have to understand that, because a lot of people are like, but I did it this way, so no, because people are different. People are different. And I mean, that's why they say no two people are the same. Even twins are not the same. So healing is different. And I hope I explained that well. If I didn't, that's my fault. Also, another hot take that I have is and this one is really pertaining a lot to social media. Stop coming to the internet to complain about your husband if you're not planning on leaving him, and don't be mad that we disagree with you staying. And so I say this because especially on TikTok, there are a lot of women who come online and like today even I just saw a video of a woman who posted this video that I guess her husband was mad at her, and as payback he was planning on breaking this like $400-$500 perfume bottle, and he ended up breaking the sink because he was throwing it at the sink to break it. And then she was defending him in the comments. Babes, don't come online to complain about your husband or your spouse or your wife or whoever, and now you're mad that we're like, leave them. Because why would you stay with them? Leave them. Simply put. And now you're mad that we don't agree with you. Babes, I'm sorry that we don't support abusive relationships, whether it's verbal or physical, or whether it's like, he doesn't put hands on me, but he just punches holes in the walls. He doesn't put hands on me, but whenever he gets mad, he just leaves for 5 days and then he comes back. Leave him or leave her. That's the answer. Leave. Divorce. Clearly they have no respect for you and they treat you with absolutely zero to no regards. So, excuse you. Like, it's so crazy. Like, these women, I'm sorry that the rest of us don't have this mindset where abuse is okay. Because a lot of these women, I feel like, you know, some of them are getting abused, whether that verbally, emotionally. A lot of times it's not physically, but it's just verbally, emotionally. They're getting abused, but they just laugh it off. You know, they laugh it off and they're like, ha 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 ha. Like another video that I saw on TikTok where this girl was trying on her mom's wedding dress, and her dad did not say not one nice thing in that video. He was like, ew, ugly. He was like, I shouldn't have gotten married. And then the mom tried it and he was like, oh, I'm starting to rethink this wedding. I'm like, and this is a couple that looks like they've been married for like 20, 30 years. And you have this grown adult. And I'm like, and the mom was just laughing. The girl was just laughing, but you could tell that they were hurt. And then they decided to come to the internet the next day to defend the father. And I'm just like, no, babes, no. I'm sorry that we're not going to sit here and agree that you stay in an abusive relationship. I'm sorry, but that's not going to be the case. That's not the case. The case is, we want you to leave that man. We want you to leave that woman. It's not funny. It's not funny. Some jokes are just not funny. Some jokes are not even jokes. They're just straight malicious, vile things. Like, that's just really how it is. And then they get so mad. They get so mad at us. And then they're like, you guys are just mad that you're single. You're just mad that you don't have anyone who loves you. If that's your definition of love, keep that so far away from me. The God that did that for you, please keep those blessings away from me. I'm glad, I'm happy for you, but keep that away from me. I don't want that. If that's what you think, oh, this is love, I'm glad. I applaud you. Congratulations, you found the love that works for you. Now keep that away from me, because I don't want that. Okay? And they get so mad. They're like, but he's nice. It's just a silly little joke. It's not just a silly little joke, babes. Because that's the reason why you posted it online. Because you knew that it wasn't a silly little joke. It was something that hurt you. But what you were expecting was for us to be like, ha 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 ha, he's still a good man though. But no, we don't laugh. We're not going to say he's a good man. We're going to say he's a terrible man. Leave him. Why are you still with him? He's verbally abusing you. He's emotionally abusing you. He doesn't say nice things to you. He tries to break your things. He punches holes in the walls. He clearly doesn't have a hold of his anger, doesn't have any control of his anger. And you want us to sit here and be like, ha 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 ha, but stay with him. No, I'm sorry that we are not your parents who push you to do things to stay in abusive relationships. We're not your parents. We're not going to do that. And so they always get so mad. They always get so defensive. And I'm just like, look, babes, if you want to stay with him, just stay with the man. Turn your comments off. Stop. And I'm like, why are you arguing with us that we care more? We have your best interest at heart. Because clearly you don't. We care more about you than you do about yourself. And then you get so mad and you're defensive. Like, it always irritates me because I'm like, just turn the comments off. Turn the comments off. Just simply turn the comments off. Or just don't post the video in the first place. If you knew, look. If you are planning on posting a video or a picture of your husband, your wife being terrible to you, and you know in the back of your head you're not going to leave them, keep it off the internet. Keep it up, because we're not going to sit here and we have passed that age of just sit there and take the abuse. We have passed that age. We're no longer doing that. Not that we've always do that, or not that society has always pushed for that, but there are some people in society who were in high power who pushed for staying in an abusive relationship, but a lot of those people have thankfully kicked the bucket, or they've lost their power. So this is not how society is anymore. Society is, if they are making you unhappy, if they are abusing you, please leave. Please leave. And I know it's not hard, because at the end of the day, everything is easier said than done. I will acknowledge that. However, don't be mad at us. Don't be getting defensive that we're like, don't do that, And so that's what I believe. And anyway, this is, you know, part 1, and I'm gonna post a part 2 at a different time because I just realized that I have a work meeting that, you know, I need help in the call for it. But those are my hot takes, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Trust, okay? But yeah, remember to be kind to everyone. Remember to be nice. Don't road rage. Don't go around flipping people off in traffic because, you know, might be your last day on earth. But yeah, be nice to people. Be nice to your kids, especially if you want your kids to speak to you in the future. But yeah, I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in part 2.